August. September. Okay.
August.
Well,
August.
welcome, welcome. This is so exciting. I'm excited to chat again. We missed last week and I apologize for that, but I'm so excited we're here.
Well, I'm kind of glad you missed last week because I would have missed you guys anyway. So I didn't miss out.
That's wonderful.
I would have a serious case of FOMO if I missed out on one of these days. Even
Right.
though I nearly forgot tonight.
No. How are you guys?
Great, and you, no, really good.
Yeah, I'm really good too. Lots of exciting things happening. So,
Oh,
fabulous.
good. Energy's moving forward for you, Pamela?
oh, very, very much so. Very much so.
Yay.
I
Good.
am speaking. Well, I just spoke the other day on Georgina Life. They've requested that I come out and chat. I'm going to be speaking on, and this is local TV. Paranormally speaking, I've been asked to do that, so I'm doing that the third week in May. I am speaking on May 31st on conflict and going from unconscious autopilot to conscious awareness. June 7th, I'm have a booth at Clearwater Farms where it's Spirit Fest, which will be really nice. I'm not sure if she'll have me do anything that weekend, but the booth will be fun and meeting people. I'm going to India in January for a trip, 15-day trip.
Wow. That's a big trip. Congratulations.
It is a very big trip, and it's one with somebody that I know, VJ, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's from there. His family's from there. He lives in my area, but he is putting together a trip that he's organized it all. And it's more about what is it going to bring up for us? What are we going to experience? What are the judgments going to be? It's going to get us out of our box in a huge way. So I'm very, very excited about that. And he's got it all planned to a fine science. And so 15 days throughout the country.
Amazing. Amazing.
That is.
Very, very excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell your energy is high. I can feel it.
And then I'm also speaking in October at the Canadian Hypnosis Conference. So there's lots.
Wow. That is so fabulous.
I need to
These are not paid gigs. These are not paid gigs, but you know what? I enjoy doing them, and it's giving information and it's helping people. And
Well, and they're invitations which speak volumes, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that's,
Yeah.
that's important for people to know when if they have their own business and they're watching this. It's like, you just got to put yourself out there. And I know too, for speaking on stage, it's like you pay to go on stage, but it's reaching those people, it's reaching more. And eventually you'll get a few stages where you don't have to pay, or you get paid depending on how, in demand you are. But that was a realization for me a couple of years ago of like, okay, so, and this is part of like, there are no chosen ones.
Mm-mm.
And that the illusion is very prevalent out there in the world, that, oh, this person is doing so good, they just took off like a rocket, and it must be meant to be for them. But to realize that there's probably a whole lot of work they did, and for some
Absolutely.
people it does move faster than others, but it don't make it mean you're not meant for this. Because if you want it, you desire it, it's in your heart, you go after it, and you create it. You're the one.
Well, and that's what I've actually made 2025 to be for me. It's about stepping into where I want to go. And yes, and so far, so good. It was getting rid of some of the blocks. But even some of those blocks that were there, now I'm getting the invites from there where people are actually wanting to hear what you have to say.
Yes.
So it's funny how that has shifted, but it was because I pulled back and because I recognize I know where I want to go. Now it's taking the steps. And it's funny because I've also am thinking of looking into Speaker Slam, which is something that helps you to develop the story they have the marketing, they have everything. So, and you do competitions with your stories. So I'm looking into that. I haven't decided on anything yet, but I know when the time is right, because this is the second time I'm looking at it. It was a few years ago where I wasn't even remotely close to thinking even about it. This I'm taking it a little more seriously and looking into it a little further. So yeah, I think this year is going to be the year to make the change. I'm getting my condo this year from taking possession of it down in the Dominican. So that was a 2-year process in the build, because it's a brand new build. Take possession. So there's a lot of really exciting things happening. Small trips planned with my partner. It's wonderful. It's magical.
Yay. Well, and the other thing I want you to pay attention to too, and even in, like you said, as Janice, as somebody's listening in, is like knowing, even in whether you're paying or whether you're, being invited to a space or whatever, finding what feels aligned for you, because that's going to give you the guidance of where you need to go, of like, yeah, you can jump into all these different opportunities, because sometimes we get into that feeling of, well, the opportunity is showing up, so it must be meant to be. But it's like, there's always times where it's going to be like, is this what you want, or is this what you want? Where you get the power of choice and you get to decide what's for you and what's not. So as you're going through these things, like you said, it's showed up the second time, but is it something you really like? You're like, oh yeah, let's, like, if it's not a jump in, then,
Not a hell yes, then it's hell no.
Absolutely.
exactly. Yeah.
If it's aligned, right?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
that has that feeling to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, because as you get more and more aligned with your dreams and desires, more things are magnetized to you. So that you get this buffet of choices. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Exactly.
Also, I've also discovered that learning to say no is just as important as saying yes.
Yes.
And the learning to say no is developing the muscle of discernment in terms of what does resonate and what doesn't resonate. So that's been a very powerful lesson, because right in the beginning, just venturing out, I'd say yes to everything and then up going either working way too hard for what I was paid, or alternatively underquote, well, not only underquoting, but also then getting resentful over how much extra work had gone in because I hadn't done my homework properly, and B, I'd taken, almost that scarcity deprivation kind of space of, I'm going back like 10, 15 years ago, that kind of deprivation space of I'll grab anything that I can. And people sense it, they can pick it up. And then we, sometimes having gone through that journey and seeing how my world shrank and how small it became, because that was the energy that I was emitting at the time. And how today I get the choice to say no if it doesn't resonate, if it doesn't align. And Lana, I was just actually smiling. A few years ago, the business that I was operating was called Aligned Network. So every time I see it on your thing, I'm going, oh, and it's all about alignment. Everything. When it's when we're out of sync and when we're off kilter, that's when the kind of the egoic thinking comes in, the 3D energies, the going back into old loops, all of that stuff.
Well, and it's sorry.
I just want to finish the liberation that comes from saying no. That is so empowering. Okay, I'm done.
No, it's fine. I was sorry. I had a thought and I didn't want to lose it. That was my purpose, but I apologize for that. So it's that when we're stepping into something, and I even recognize it in just something I was just recently doing, it's like when you get really clear on who you want to be and how you want to be and what you want to share. Did I do that?
No.
No. So we don't talk over each other. Okay, got it. So it's that, like, I know I've put offers out where I've been talking with somebody and be like, well, I can help you with that. And it's like, even afterwards, I'm like, why did I offer that? Not at a scarcity because I wanted to, but it's like, yes, I can do it, but is that truly what I want to offer? Like, that's not where I want to spend my time. That's not what lights me up. So why did I offer it anyway? So it's getting super clear, like you said, Janice, earlier, but getting clear on yourself of like, what do I want? And then, so then we can, like you said, Angela, is pick out the no's of like, am I even going to offer? Because like I said, I just had somebody I was on a conversation with, well, I can help them with that. But is that really what I want to do? And why do I want to put my time there when there's other things I know I'm supposed to do? in what I'm doing, right? So anyway, that was
And
my.
there's another thing. I know Pam's got a hand up. There's another thing that sits underneath that as well. And that is, am I stepping into rescuer? Because that's a pattern so easy to fall into. Is, yeah, I know I can help them, but what's the intention behind even offering to be of service? Is it truly for them, or is it something that I'm stepping into something that really resonates for me and makes me feel good about me? And that's a very slippery slope.
And for me, what it was actually is like well, I've done it before and I can do it. So it's the me giver of like, well, I can help with that. I can help with that, even though it's not something that lights me up. You know what I mean?
Pam's got her hand up.
Shut up.
It's too easy to interrupt, and I didn't want to do that. So I just wanted to touch on, Angela, what you were talking about is in the beginning, when we're on this journey, we do get a lot of things that come our way. And we will take on, even when it comes to learning, take on so much. We want to be a sponge and absorb it. But it doesn't really, it's not a value until we actually implement it. So for anyone who's watching, what I always have encouraged people to do is it's natural to get into that excitement of just taking on whatever. But it's really important to pick one thing, get comfortable with it, allow it to be a part of your foundation and build that foundation from there. And a really good tool that you can use is, our bodies are like pendulums. So it's being able to ask yourself, is this aligned with me? It's a yes or no answer. If you're going up into a story or you're questioning or analyzing, that's ego and pain body. That brings us into a default, right, of safety, where it's being able to say yes or no and act accordingly. It's simple,
Yes.
but we're not taught that it's that simple.
Yeah.
Right. So for those of you watching, those are really simple steps to actually start to step into it, but build your foundation, because it's great to be the excitement and gather all of the information. And there will come a time where it's valuable. But if you build that foundation of one thing at a time, and you end up walking your talk as opposed to just talking the talk.
And it's very difficult. I know for me, it's very difficult when one is multidimensional to focus on one thing. It's exceptionally challenging. And also, also what comes with multidimensionality is that magpie syndrome, where the next thing comes up and there's the new idea, and there's the new idea, and there's the new, and it's the level of discipline that it takes to just stick with one thing. And also, I think for me is learning from some of the mistakes we've made, not just the good stuff that's happening, because the mistakes are all part of there's no mistakes. There's a mistake, but not mistakes. And they're all part of the learning journey. And I certainly, for one, don't want to be putting out that it's all sunshine and roses and perfect and all of that stuff. It's anything but, because we are honing, we are being honed all the time to get back to and to align and connect with that authenticity, which is something that it's I can't say it's work, it's not work, but it's a continual recalibrating, continual realigning to be able to make sure that we are aligned with our truth. Okay, I'll keep quiet now.
And it's from that conscious space, not from the unconscious. I think that's the biggest thing, Angela, with what you're talking about, is really being conscious about your decisions and conscious about what you're doing. And not necessarily the why you're doing it, but what is this bringing to the world? What is this bringing to me?
I think sometimes I wish I'd had the wisdom I have now. I wish I'd had the wisdom 20 years ago.
Sometimes.
Don't we all?
Don't we all, is right?
But it's all
totally
part
go
of the
back.
journey. It's all part of the journey. As wisdom only comes from the experiences that we go through, whether they are so-called good or bad, whether they're so-called right or wrong. In my view, what I know now is that there is no such thing as right and wrong. Everything's happening for our highest good. Every single thing, even if there is pain associated with it, joy associated, doesn't matter. Everything is for our highest good. And that I've only learned through trial and error and through kind of getting on the other side of 60 and getting access to some of this wisdom.
So true. We're manifesting all the time, and it's not so much what we're manifesting, but what we're doing with it. So because people get caught up in the, but what I wanted to manifest hasn't arrived yet. And you know, they look at the gap rather than what's actually in front of you, and recognizing that this is here for you and what are you going to do with it? It's beautiful questions to ask yourself. So how am I responding to this? How am I going to create with what's here now? Right? Mm.
Yeah. And again, Janice, I'm just listening to the wisdom. You know, 10, 15 years ago, would I have even been ready to ask those kind of questions? Nope. And it's,
Well, and
yeah,
because, you know, most of us 10, 15 years ago were really caught up in what is around us, right? And all of the meanings that we created that it means, like why it's here and what's going on and what does that mean about me, and we're not even you know what, like the depth of awareness, the depth
Yes.
of questioning, all of that is something that I learned with the continuous self-awareness, the continuous growth, continuing to take programs and courses. This has kind of just been my passion of, you know, growth and evolution of consciousness. So, which is kind of why we're sitting here, is like because we needed to go that path. Not everybody has that passion, but we're all going through the growth in this of consciousness. So yeah, like man, when I look back to even, you know, my 20s, so unaware, so unaware.
I remember even like high school, it was like you couldn't even see past your friends, and like your high school clique was your entire world. There was nothing else beyond it, right?
Right? Yes. And I was constantly felt like I was constantly in catch up with everyone else
Yes.
because I didn't get innuendos and little, you know, subtle hints. It's like, no, I'm very like literal. Like, I don't get it. Why does everyone seem to know what's going on except me? Why does everyone else seem to understand this? But did I miss something? Did I miss that part of education? Like, I just remember constantly looking around and going, okay, how do I react to this, rather than going in. So that it just amazes me when I see these
Right.
young people that are here, that are, you know, discovering and so grounded in who they are. I am like, wow, wow.
Well, and we
yeah,
could go back to that time frame and say like, yeah, well, we were in this space, but the collective consciousness was in this space,
Yeah,
in the matrix, in the plugged in the like just in the reality of things. There were people, but the majority weren't. And so
yeah,
now we see the shift currently, and this is why we're creating what we're creating here, and what we're all each individually doing in our own way in our own businesses is bringing in more of this for a reason. There's a reason
yeah,
again why we were brought together to have this conversation, even
And
because there's been this shift.
and there's that element that we're beings of experience.
Yeah.
People can tell us something, but until we have the experience to solidify it, right, to really internalize it, it's not really going to land.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. We have to go. I mean, I had no awareness around spirituality whatsoever, 20 some odd years ago was when things really started to shift quicker, right? And I understood that I went through the journey alone, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys. Seemed like I was very alone in it because I had to grow through it. I had to come to my understanding, and I realize now so that I can help the younger generation, because we're still kind of betwixt in between, in the sense that we have people who are awake, but we have a lot of people who are not awake. And it's like that discernment of what's truth. And that may vary from person to person. And that's okay. Take what works and leave the rest behind. Even in these conversations, not everyone's going to resonate with what we're saying.
Yep.
But they may take a little bit here and a little bit there. And that's the whole beauty in the being of experience, right? There isn't putting the pressure on yourself of trying to live up to someone else's expectations. And I'm also recognizing in this day and age that how our egos have come into play It's a little bit different for the younger generation. The ego's coming out in a different way, in that they are building their communities, but they're not stepping out into the learning that they can get in the mainstream, right?
Oh, I like this conversation.
And they're protecting themselves in a way, and they're actually hindering their growth, and they can't see it. But again, that's a part of their experience for their soul's growth. So being from where we were to where they are, it's just the ego shows up a little bit differently. We're in this human experience, and the ego is to help us to learn something. You know?
Yeah, I think a couple of things that I want to add on to what you're saying is that, and for 1 minute, I'm not implying that wisdom is only the domain for those people with gray hair. That's not what I'm saying at all. For me, it's come to me through my experiences. It's come to me over the last few years, because not only are, we talk about the youth in the community, there are some of the souls that are incarnating onto the planet at this time are so wise. They are so connected and so tuned in, sometimes not knowing what to do with it. Space where we can hold space for them. The other thing is that also, it doesn't matter what our age is, when we're tapping into consciousness and spirituality, there's no spiritual bypass. We've got to go through the process, and it's a continual process evolving through the spiral. So, the instant gratification kind of energy and vibration that's on the planet at the moment is not something that's going to apply to spiritual growth and to consciousness at all. I think, Janice, I'm not sure it was you or Pamela, some people will get there quicker. Some people, I think it was Janice, you were saying that, some people will get there quicker, and some people will take a bit longer. I happen to fall into the last category, but it's also in my astrological chart. All the activity is happening for me now according to my chart. So why fight it? I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to step into it and absolutely love and thrive and enjoy it completely. But yeah, I think if anybody's watching, just isn't a spiritual bypass as much as we'd like to have it. It's not there.
Oh, I think what you said there, I just have to jump in because there was something so juicy about that. Is like they're coming in with the wisdom that we've gained, but the ego, like you said, Pamela, is interfering with that wisdom, so they're playing it out differently. I love that perspective because you really you do need the life experience to understand the wisdom. You may have the wisdom but not know what to do with it. So there is a journey that you need to take in life as a human, and with that you grow. So can you just imagine where they're going to be when they're 60 years old or 50 years old? Like, it's exciting. That's the evolution of human consciousness. So they're coming in with these beautiful gifts that maybe only some of us had, and I did not have them coming in. I mean, I had psychic gifts, but I didn't know what to do with them. I had the passion and the draw for soul seeking right from being like 5 years old, but no one could answer my questions. And, so there was this limbo, this, unfolding that happened, and the wisdom came along. But to come in with the wisdom, with the young people that are like channeling light codes and things like that, that was very, very exciting.
Well, and like you said, having the support systems like us, or people that are in this space that have already accepted that wisdom and they accepted that understanding and the awareness to be able to continue to expand it, versus, like you said, for you, it was like you were at that time, you had those gifts, but no one there to support you to expand it, because the beliefs at that point were like, you can't talk about this stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Where it's like, for example, in comparison, 5 years ago, I was still plugged in the matrix. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I did, like, when I was younger, I played with scrolls, but like that was it. Like a little bit of paganism, I think, was kind of what was going on there. And that was about it. I didn't understand I didn't even begin to fathom beyond that. The interest.
But it was there. Right? It was there.
Yeah.
And I hear that a lot from people that are like, 2 years ago, I was still working corporate jobs, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm quit and I'm channeling and doing this.
Right.
And that's that, like, okay, let's go. Yeah.
Go ahead, Pam.
And it is about, I mean, for me, it's later in life. but my experiences have helped to awaken that wisdom. And I think, like, yes, they are coming in with wisdom, but their experiences are going to solidify things just that little bit more. And being able to understand that wisdom that they have, rather than putting it in their little circles, it's good to get out into the mainstream to plant the seeds, right? I remember being in high school and I thought I had loser on my forehead, not realizing it was unconditional love. Everything that I did, I remember drawing hearts and,
I love that
peace
perspective.
signs and everything, hippie at heart, right? And born in 61. So it's a situation where it's like, I didn't realize, again, the significance of the unconditional love. I went and worked at the hospital in Hamilton, and I was doing Reiki for cancer patients, cancer survivors. And it was very interesting because I ran into people from high school and they're going, I'm not surprised you're doing this. And I'm like, I had no clue of even the impact at that particular time. Here I was struggling to be accepted. That's what my biggest thing was in life, because my family didn't accept me, right? And so you're in high school, and I mean, marks were not, education was not an important thing to me. Being accepted, fitting in, it didn't work all that well, but that's where the focus was. And part of my learning and part of my growth about accepting who I am, never mind whether anybody else accepts me. So yeah, we have an impact, even though we may not be aware. My first active service was being 5 years old. I didn't think anything of it. I was just being me. And through my life, had lots of things before I was awakened to the spiritual aspect, that the universe was working through me and with me long before I had a clue. And I don't think that's any different than most people. It's just the level of awareness. There was no discounting it anymore. Like, holy heck, there was purpose. And it was really beautiful.
Yeah, I want to pick up on something that you said earlier on, also for those that are listening or watching today, that you said, Pam, and that is, take what you like and leave the rest. It's, and I think this is the caution: be discerning, be mindful, check things out. Don't just believe anything that anybody tells you, because you have a gravitation towards them or anything. Keep your critical faculties alive and check things out before you step into them, because there's a lot of funky energy out there, and a lot of people claiming to be doing things for good, and they're not so good. There's a veneer that's around them. So keep your critical faculties alive and check things out. And most of all, listen to your intuition. That's the thing, most of us shut it down. Listen, because it's your early warning system. So if there is something that's off center, there probably is something off center, and then check it out. And so, yeah, that's for me. Again, it's that developing that muscle of discernment of what works and what doesn't work for you. And it may not work for somebody else, but we're all on our own journey. Yeah, we're coming to be part of a collective, but we also have the uniqueness within our own selves and things that resonate for us and don't. There's a friend of mine here who kind of started channeling stuff, and he didn't work with protection, and he's had an attachment and he can't get the attachment loose. He's tried, I can't even begin to tell you how many things that he's tried to work it loose. And so I think I was given a warning quite a long time ago by one of my spiritual mentors, and that was, don't dabble. Investigate, but be careful that you're not dabbling. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. It is just, be careful. Just be careful.
And
So
I think that's sorry. What you were saying, Pamela, about the conscious decisions, like, don't dabble, make conscious decisions. So like, it's the same as anything in life. If you're going to eat that piece of cake on your diet, do it consciously, saying, I choose this. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this and feel guilty, but I'm choosing this, and this is the direction I'm going. So being aware, perceptive, and conscious decisions.
And I think it's helpful.
I just want to just insert this right here, because if somebody's listening, my question would be like, what do you mean by dabbling? So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, so dabbling to me is playing around, right? Not really knowing what you're playing with. Ouija boards, just as an example, can open portholes that you're not ready for. But one of the things that I really encourage people, because I think for myself, and I can only speak for myself, I entertain nothing but the highest, the purest, and the best in everything that I do. And even before I was consciously making sure that that was, one of my go-tos, I think that I realized I was protected. We are, but it's in the dabbling that you're experienced. There is no good or bad. It's understanding, like you said, Angela, good or bad creates divide and it creates judgment. What one person may go through or their life might be like, we can judge it based from our human experience and our perception of that experience or the family construct, because that's where we get it from. But it's understanding that it's letting that go so people can be free to live their experiences, right? And you just choose, is it aligned with me or is it not? It's the judgment that gets in the way. It gets in the way of us being aligned with who we truly are, because all of us at the very core is love, peace, and harmony. That is truly the essence of who we are. Maybe someone has come in and they're on the darker side or taken on a role on the darker side. We have to have dark to grow. So on a certain level, they have sold their soul, and not from a negative perspective, but to come here and teach these lessons from this dark place. But at the core of them, there's still the love and the light. It's the universe that's orchestrating then the contracts that they've signed to come in to be the catalyst for change, to be the catalyst for all of us to ascend and get to this place of conscious understanding and stepping into unconditional love and acceptance.
Yes. Yes. And I love that you said that, Pamela, because that is exactly, as I've taught like mystic courses over the years, a lot of times, things start to happen when you start opening up, and people call me and I'm freaking out, Janice, like, what the heck is this? And it's like, okay, first of all, there's nothing that is going to hurt you. There is no evil, like get that out of your head, because your beliefs are what you're going to create. And
Absolutely.
so believing that, okay, there is light here, it is all love or fear. Like, you're sitting in fear right now. Let's shift you back into love so that you can enjoy this experience and this growth, this opening up that is happening for you. So thank you for saying that.
Thank you for adding to it. It's so true. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
We're either moving towards love or we're moving away from it based on our choices. And it comes back again to choice. And is that choice of service to me, to the rest of to those that I'm here to serve? And is it one that's based in love? And this is the thing around the heart chakra opening for all of us on an individual level and also on a consciousness level, is that we're experiencing the beginnings of the opening of the heart chakra on a collective level. And that's where the root and the seat of love is. And so, it's really, we're in really interesting times, exciting times.
Well, and even kind of touching back to the dabbling of things of like, I know when I was a teenager, I also dabbled in the like Ouija board stuff, but I was always under the perception that, like you said, Pam, is just like, not that I wasn't consciously like, oh, nothing's ever going to happen for me from an egoic standpoint, but it was like, I just entertained it as a fun like thing, as opposed to like, I'm going to specifically, again, that conscious choice of, but choosing darkness or choosing whatever. But I love my mom, but she was very much opposed to me touching the Ouija board because it was like, well, you're going to open up the portals or you're going to bring things in that you don't know because you don't know what you're doing, and this fear around it. And when you come, it's that vibration. When we come to frequency, what's the frequency of the vibration that are coming in from it? And it's like, for me, it's as I've been doing any of the practices that I've been doing since, it's been like you said, I know that I intentionally set that in intention to not let anything come in that is of anything that I don't want. It just doesn't attach to me or doesn't connect to me. Like, it's not going to resonate with me. So that's what I bring in, right? And it's, again, what vibration, what frequency are you aligned with to bring that in or not?
And again, that's something that's developed, the awareness. It's about being aware. And when I used the phrase earlier on about dabbling is that do some investigation. Just do some investigation before stepping in. That's all. Not just kind of jumping into something without having an awareness around it. So it's not about instilling a sense of fear at all. It's just about keep your critical faculties alive.
Yeah.
So that you, because it's developed. I mean, Alana, if you think about where you were 5 years ago and what you were allowing in versus where you are now, you've been through, and we all have been through a journey to get to the point where we are more fine-tuned to discern what we are welcoming in and what we're not welcoming in. And that's the thing is that if it's kind of a little bit here and a little bit there and kind of all over the place, there's nothing wrong with investigating all sorts of different things to see what resonates for you. But it's really around making sure, I think, Pam, you said it earlier on as well, making sure that there's a solid foundation upon which you are investigating your unique spiritual path.
Absolutely. You know, back in the day, Ouija boards were on the shelf like a game for kids, right?
Yep.
Things have evolved. I'm not sure that they're still on the shelf
I
anymore.
think they are.
They are.
they?
They're a board
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's incredible. But again, not wanting to create fear for people, but having the intention that you only entertain the highest, the purest, and the best.
Well,
That is the key. No, that's okay, love. That's okay. That's the key in everything that we're doing, right?
And I
If
did
we're
that with my
entertaining
kids.
anything further, but
Like-
that's where parents have to step in and have the understanding that don't create fear around it, but okay, let's make sure that we're consciously putting some good things to this.
And that's what I did with my kids. Like literally, instead of having that experience, it was like, because it was something, it still was locked in my mom's house and we were not allowed to touch it. I'm like, well, why do you want an infant in the house if nobody can touch it? And we made it disappear because both of my boys started asking about it. And I was like, let's take it out and let's like play with it. But like I specifically said, when you sit down with it, set the intention of it's just gonna be for fun or just gonna be like, because that's all I ever experienced it in. And so then this is again that showing of the way of something that's different, right? And giving them that experience. So now they have it. It's out of my parents' house.
I think this is a really great conversation around because we could get really clear here because I have definitely experienced feeling dark energy. Like when I say nothing can harm you, it can't. Like you are a soul, you are a light. It's like trying to hit the light coming from a lamp. You can't. It's not, even if your body gets hurt, you as a person, you're not. But on the other hand, I had an experience of, a man that it was in business and I had a meeting with him and I came away and went, this energy feels slimy. This does not feel good. There is something. And he was asking me to do some corrupt things in business that I pulled myself right out of right away and said, yeah, I'm not going there. So it just showed me, it was my experience of here's what it feels like when someone is not following the light of their heart and when they are following ego and then here's the difference. So it was a great experience for me, but it was one where I backed right out of going, oh, it feels like snakes everywhere. But so you may experience dark energy, but it doesn't mean that it's an evil entity out there that's coming after you, or you are light, and just allowing your light to radiate will propel it away. Like, and your belief of like, no, I don't want that in my life. Goodbye. It's like, yeah.
Your intention and your belief is so powerful. And like when you set that intention, that sets the boundary, or even just whatever you believe. What I tell people all the time is whatever you believe is true. So if you believe it's going to be attached or it's going to do it, well, then yes. But if you believe that it's you are of light, then yes. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's also that element of being of light that we're going to attract some of that darkness to transform it.
Yes.
Right. And I'm not talking of the dark, yucky, because again, we can't control what other people are going to do, but it's that element of understanding that you're going to have the sob stories come your way. Just using that as an example, people who are down and out, right? Not feeling like they're getting anywhere. those of us who are in the light, we attract that sometimes, and it is to help transform, even if it's just allowing the energy to flow through us and into Mother Earth, into the universe with love, like being that conduit at that moment, right? Sometimes that's all it's about. It's not about fixing someone. It's not about rescuing someone. It's about the fact that their energy needs to be transformed and transmuted. And once we come into contact and there's a permission that we're connected, where we can help them to do that.
And feeling into that. So like Angela said right in the beginning, there are those that are out there that are not doing good in the world, right? Yeah. Discern, and so feel that, like, have that experience of like, okay, now I can feel into this person and I think they're authentic and I can like lean in. Or the person that is like, something's off here. Like, use that sense, because we all have it, that extra sense, because that's where we're going. Feel the energy, into the energy, and compare it to mother's love energy, compare it to, somebody that's climbing the corporate ladder in a negative way. Like, you'll get to know it. So
I wanna raise Angela's hand.
yeah. I do too. I was like, okay, Angela, go.
I was just thinking again, going back to something that Pam said earlier on around, okay, let me catch the thought. One of the things for me, as you were talking, Pamela, was around, for many of us, myself, you, all of us here in this room, is that we started out on our journey alone. And thank you, God, there's so much more heightened consciousness around us today. This is again where things like social media start to play a role, in where there's a community that you can get into, where you can be supported, where that whole space of holding space around you of the mentor, the elder, the wise person, whether it's a coach, a counselor, whether it's I don't like to use the word guru lightly. I mean, I don't like to really use that word very often, but it could be for some people that a guru is something that they're needing. But yeah, make sure that you're in a community that is supporting you. I learned a lesson actually about authenticity a little while ago from my sister. She was being really mean, really, really mean. I was being called a fraud and a thief and all this stuff, and I kind of going, when I sat and I processed it afterwards and I thought about the word authenticity, in her mind, she was being completely authentic to who she was. And so I had to let the judgment go of, oh, she's showing up inauthentically. No, she's not. She was showing up authentically according to the level of the consciousness that she had at the time. Whether it shifted or not, I don't know. And so I'm quite cautious around whether somebody's authentic or not. Because no matter where they are in their perception of the world, they are authentic. And they are expressing themselves authentically. Does it align with my values and my truth? Different question, very different question. And that again brings me back to, how do I discern what aligns and connects with me? And again, it's trusting our knowing, trusting our heart, and trusting our intuition. And that knowing, because we know when something's off. We really, really do. And again, Pam, talking about it's for the highest, the best, and for the good that it can do. But yeah, it was a very humbling lesson about authenticity for me, that experience. Very humbling indeed.
Mm-hmm. And that authenticity, again, it's very much it's perception. Because my idea of authenticity is that being of truth, but being of love and being of light. That's the authenticity that I think we all can come from, but it's our human experience that create these perceptions, right? And judgments and criticisms. And then it's taking it a step further. Is it mine or was it my family's? Right? Because we take on our families. We're born into a construct until we start to question things for ourselves. And then it's when we do that questioning that we can step into the more authentic, grounded, centered, and present version of ourselves. So that's where my authenticity aspect comes from. I get what you're saying. Everybody in their moment is doing the best that they can. Their perception and their truth is their perception and their truth, despite what I might think of it. Right? So it's learning to unconditionally love and accept everybody is where they're at. We don't have to fight against it or resist it.
And that's another function of the opening of the heart, because we let go of judgment when our heart is open, and we're in so much more of a space of acceptance of ourselves and of others, without the judgment attached to it.
Mhm.
And understanding that observation and judgment, there's a very fine line. But we can observe things and be real about that observation. But it's very different than a judgment. So it's learning to discern.
And observation for me comes with the question of being detached as well, being
Yes.
that detached observer. Whereas if I'm in judgment, I might be observing, but I'm attached to either something, someone, or an outcome that I want to control. So the observing is being that detached. And it's not easy to get there. It takes a lot of practice to get to the point of being able to be the detached observer.
Mhm.
Well, and this is funny, Angela, because it's like when we had that, Angela and I chatted a little yesterday, and one of the things that I was making some notes because I felt like some of this conversation could be inspired by some of the things that we were chatting about yesterday. But it's funny that it's like you said, as we discern through this process, it's been a journey. We've all gone through it. And one of the things that we had touched on yesterday was around this, the being detached, but also that the reason why we're even sharing this stuff is because we're here to share share our experiences. So maybe some people can understand and whatever, but it's also about the expanded conversation of living the journey and sharing our journey along the way, because we're all business owners. We're all sharing our light in different ways. And it's being like, we're living it as and continuing to experience it as we go along the journey. And that's most of where our conversations are coming from, is from what have we talked about from the last week, or what's gone on with us in the last week, and living and sharing from that perspective that we're not done the journey, but we're living it. We're really truly living the process that we're talking about, right? We continue to practice it.
And
One of
that's
the
what I love, is the transparency here.
Yeah.
Transparent in our experiences and in our journey.
One
Right?
of the yeah, and being in the spirit of being transparent, one of the things that's been happening for me this last week is I have felt this incredible sense of overwhelm, because there's just so much downloading so fast, so quickly. And it's take a step back and take a pause, just take the pause, because everything else is going to slot into place when and how it's going to need to do that. And I don't have to be in control. I don't have to be in the driver's seat. I just need to be present. And yeah, it's been a tough week with the sense of overwhelm that's coming through. And then of course, Debbie Dowter and the imposter going, "Hello, just need to say we're still around." Going, yeah, okay, I acknowledge, I hear you, I love you. Not going there today. And
Well,
so it's part of being, this space is safe enough to be real, to say, geez, I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable and a little bit kind of feeling a lot overwhelmed, but better today than it was yesterday, way better today than it was yesterday. And that's the beauty and the value of the pause, of being able to just allow the energies to work through us to get to the point where we're grounded again.
totally. One of the things, like, and even going back to the overwhelm, it actually speaks to, and I can't remember if we specifically spoke about it here or if I just heard it from multiple things, but like this last moon cycle was about like momentum and things creating this movement very quickly of shifting into some like things that are coming in. And it was supposed to be very fast movement and momentum from this last phase. And now, as you shared in our group chat, and I'll put it up in the show notes, is the Taurus reading of what's the Taurus moon that we're currently entering in, and the slower process and integration and letting go of some of the things that we even talk about as like these limits and there's another word I'm seeking here, like not imposter, but like it was right at the beginning of that reading of the masks and the things that the beliefs that we currently hold and stuff like that we're shifting away from. And it's just so interesting to see that evolution of what, even talking to your overwhelm of what we've gone through over the last little while. Cause I felt that too, like, and even Pam's momentum that she's created over there, like seen over the last few weeks of that manifestation of momentum. Anyway, I'll shut up now too.
No, It's all good.
No, it's wonderful, and it's accurate. I mean, I went through the illness there for a little while and that gap for a little while, but once I accepted the gap and sat in the gap, and it's like now things are moving much quicker for sure. And it's learning to again discern, where do I want to go? That will come with time. I've been a big believer in that. I know where I want to take things. But we're not the only ones feeling this.
No.
Other people are feeling it and not understanding it. You know, how many people come to us and say, my goodness, I can't believe, like, where has the time gone? I don't even know what I've accomplished, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, so it's understanding that this is part of the cycles, the ebbs and the flows. And it's okay to slow yourself down, to just take a breather.
In fact, it's vital to slow yourself down. Absolutely. I have
That's
learned
funny.
in the last 6 months the value. I mean, I'm doing it for a while, but I've truly learned the value of slowing down. And it's not just let's go and do some self-care. It's not
Right.
just about that. It's
No.
really getting into that space of this is God care, this is spirit care. And what I've learned in that pause is that this is the invitation that our higher power gives to us to co-create. And if we're not still in that space to be able to experience that, we lose that moment of what it is that our higher power actually is asking us to co-create or channel or bring through, whatever it is. The value of that pause cannot be underestimated.
And how that shows up in your life is different for everyone. It's so cool that we're talking about this, because I just wrote this in my journal this morning, that I am in that sacred pause, and and it's just like over the last week. It's like I should post, I should write an email. I don't know what I want to say. I don't have anything to say. And so recognizing that it's okay. I get to just be silent because I'm being called to be silent. And I know now, after this happening so many times, that the silence precedes the downloads, the awarenesses, the like epiphany of like, oh my God, I get it now, right? That moment. So it's okay. And when you're in business and, people say to me, oh, you're so busy. I see you everywhere. It's like, actually, no, I actually been hiding for the last week. I've been in my sacred pause for the last week, and it will flow again. There are waves. It will come again. Like, I'm not worried about it, and I'm not posting just to post. I'm not putting out emails just to put out emails. I'm just
I love that you
following.
said I love that you said that. And again, the permission, in comes the permission to just be in the space of where we find ourselves, as opposed to on somebody else's schedule, in terms of got to be posting every day, you got to be doing this, got to be doing that, how to make
Yeah.
100,000 followers in 5 easy lessons. No,
Yeah.
none of that. It doesn't work. It's not working. And all kudos to those people who have been able to do that. But that doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for the way in which I am exploring my own journey. That being on somebody else's treadmill,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
And what I was, oh,
Thank you for
sorry, I was
saying
just going to add in there, it's like, it feels like these waves of silence are coming more frequently, but it could be that I'm just paying more attention to them.
Mhm.
So, not sure.
I was just gonna say, like, and this is where I was actually in a conversation the other day too, of like, as we're moving forward, where we've talked multiple times about breaking these constructs of the 3D of what we're currently doing and these old laws and old ways of doing things, and shifting into the conversation I had the other day was like I've had this week where I haven't really posted a whole lot, and there was a thought of like, man, I should have been doing a little more of this and some of this, and I just didn't. And it was like what somebody pointed out. They're like, well, do you notice that it's with a cycle? Like, again, we go back to that 90-day cycle, and which is something I've been working on right now. And it's this, but it's also like even as a female being in the menstrual cycle and all of it, like the moon cycles, and like there's all of these pieces at play that if we are in true flow of allowing things to move and when they do and when they don't, that's when it's like, yeah, there's other things that we don't judge ourselves about the pause.
Yeah. Don't create meanings out of it.
It speaks to me about organic growth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely.
Rather than forced growth.
Yep,
And when we're in that organic flow.
it's such a confirmation for me hearing you say that, in the sense that it's something that I've been working with quite a while, as well as is that I'm not just going to post something for the sake of posting it. I'm not going to put out a blog post or do all of those things, particularly in the cycle that I'm in right now, where I'm going through my own journey and I don't know which side is up yet. I will, as I go through it. And once I've gone through it, then I can share it. But I'm also giving myself the grace to go through my own process.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you guys, you're such a powerful group.
Oh, right.
I love
Now, may I
chatting.
share some news?
Of course.
Yeah.
I was at Rogers TV the other day, and one of the things that I have put forth is a proposal to do a talk show. That has not come into fruition, and that's okay right now. But they are trying to change things up now, and I have been invited to put a link for our talks on the local TV.
Oh, wow.
That would be so fun.
So I am going to look into that and see if we can get these. Again, it's just a way of reaching more people with the conversation. And again, it just divine timing. It wasn't something that I was planning. And I told him about what we're doing, about the talks that we're doing. And he's like, yeah, send it out, send it over. We're looking for content. We're looking, and because I'm from the Georgina area, they're looking for the content for someone in the area to be able to say what's going on and what's happening. And so
That's so incredible. So I'm visiting Canada by osmosis.
Yes.
Yes.
uh,
So great.
Incredible conversation. Thank
before
you,
long,
Pam,
we'll
for
have you
opening up
here,
that.
Angela.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This has just been so great, as always. And just to kind of top up, I've needed at the end of the week of overwhelm. And yeah, let's see what happens this next week.
Yes.
I love this. Incredible. Thank you, Pam, for opening up that opportunity.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, universe. Right? Like, so I'm excited.
So I just want to say there, for the people who are listening, is an example of organic flow.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exhibit A.
Thank you all for today. Love you,
And
Grace.
just to tell everybody, I have to do this, Janice, just to wish you a very happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hope the day was full of magic and blessings for you.
Oh, I think it's going to be the whole month.
The way to go. That's
Here.
the way it should be.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Celebrate every day.
All right.
Yes.
Until next week, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Right.